You rest a tweaked tendon, and it starts to feel better. You go for a run, and 3 miles in, the familiar sharp ache returns. You rest again, the tendon gets weaker, and the cycle continues. Even athletes at the highest levels of professional sports, backed by world-class medical staffs, often find themselves trapped in this same loop of rehab and re-injury. This cycle persists because of a widespread misunderstanding of how the connective tissues in our bodies actually process physical force. The springy, dynamic movements we typically use to build muscle and train for sports are frequently the primary factor actually preventing an injured tendon from healing. To understand why, imagine a small micro-tear deep inside an otherwise healthy tendon. The body has a built-in defense mechanism against catastrophic rupture. When force hits, healthy collagen fibers instantly tighten up, taking over the load and entirely bypassing the injured spot. Tendon cells rely on physical tension to rebuild. Because the load completely bypasses the injury, damaged cells never receive the signal to begin repairs. Without that pulling force, the unloaded gap fills with disorganized, weak scar tissue instead of strong, tightly aligned tendon fibers. Effectively repairing the injury requires a mechanical workaround to force physical load back into that shielded, damaged area. Bypassing this internal shield requires a very specific type of movement: heavy isometric holds. Tendons actually hold a lot of water, making them viscoelastic, meaning they change their stiffness depending on how fast you move. Jump quickly and the tendon acts like concrete, but load it slowly or hold a heavy weight completely still and the tissue remains pliable. When you pull against a heavy weight without moving, you trigger stress relaxation. Over time, those healthy, protective collagen fibers taking the force stretch and let their guard down. The tension then transfers directly into the dormant, damaged center. Holding perfectly still against a heavy load achieves what miles of running cannot. It mechanically targets the exact point of injury. How do dormant cells respond once the physical load finally reaches them and wakes them up? Bouncy movements compress the damaged area, signaling cells to produce rigid type 2 collagen, making the tendon stiffer. But the steady tension of an isometric hold elongates the cells, instructing them to pump out strong, perfectly aligned type 1 collagen. This fresh type 1 collagen eventually replaces the weak, disorganized scar tissue, physically weaving the entire broken structure back together. Mechanical force functions as a direct biological language, dictating exactly how our cells express their genes. Applying this cellular data to a real-world routine requires a shift in how we think about exercise intensity and timing. To provide enough time for the protective fibers to relax and the force to reach the injury, the protocol calls for 4 repetitions of a heavy, static hold, held for 30 seconds each. This chart shows cellular activation over time, and it highlights a strict rule: the minimal effective dose. Activation hits a sharp peak after 5 to 10 minutes of loading, then the cells stop listening. Once shut down, they require exactly 6 hours of total rest to reset their internal sensors before responding to physical tension again. Because of this biological reset timer, 3 10-minute microsessions spaced throughout the day are significantly more effective than a single long workout. Even with the perfect mechanical signal, your cells still cannot construct new type 1 collagen without a surge of very specific amino acid building blocks. Rebuilding the tissue requires 15 to 20 grams of gelatin or hydrolyzed collagen, consumed alongside 50 milligrams of vitamin C. Timing this exactly 30 to 60 minutes before your isometric holds ensures that your bloodstream floods the tendon with nutrients at the precise moment the cells receive the instruction to build. Athletes dealing with massive tendon holes have used this specific mechanical and nutritional synergy to completely close those tears and go on to qualify for the Olympics pain-free. Successful recovery is a result of sending the correct mechanical signal, then supplying the specific biological materials needed to rebuild the tissue from the inside out.